Hey everyone, it's Silverback here again, aka John, aka the 7800 Pro System Gamer. And today we're taking a look at Commando. Commando was published by Atari, developed by Sculptured Software, and released in 1989. It was a pretty big get for Atari. They had a hard time getting popular arcade games. They had a lot of their old standby arcade games, and those turned out to be definitive ports of those games, but this was a part of the newer breed arcade games that were more run and gun style games, and this was becoming more and more popular in the NES at the time. So getting it on the 7800 was a pretty big deal for Atari and its fans back in the day. So as you can see, it's a pretty simple game. You play as a character named Super Joe, and you work your way through 8 different areas. Every 4 areas is considered a tour of duty, and you do 2 tour of duties altogether. The game was originally developed by Capcom, actually, and was released in the arcades in 1985. It was then brought to the US and Europe by Data East and released in the arcades, and it came out for all kinds of platforms. The NES, the 2600 had a version, 7800, there was Spectrum, Amstrad, Commodore 64 versions as well. The game seemed fairly popular back in the day, and it's one that, again, I was really glad to see came out in the 7800. You might also notice it has vastly improved audio, and that's due to the pokey chip. The pokey chip was an audio chip better known in the Atari line of computers and also the 5200, but a pokey chip could be placed inside a 7800 cart and the audio could be greatly enhanced that way. Only 2 games ever came out with the pokey chip. It was this game, Commando, and Ball Blazer by LucasArts also had the pokey chip. While this game sounds much better than most 7800 games, I think Ball Blazer was overall a better utilization of the pokey chip on the 7800. But it's still great to have this game include the advanced audio that the pokey chip could provide. So here, you see at the end of each area, you come to a gate, or sometimes like a castle building, hut setup, and you clear the area to move on to the next, and you get a nice little interlude there where you see your character doing various things. You can be shaving, enjoying a cigarette, that sort of thing. So for this game, as I said, it was developed by Sculptured Software on behalf of Atari so they could publish it. Now, there's only one credit that I can find for this game, and it's a programmer credit for Dwayne A. Skinner. And later in the video, I'll show you how to actually find that credit, because there is a secret code to see his name on the screen, which is pretty cool. A lot of games back in the day had secret codes for the developers to show off that they indeed worked on these games. It was sort of a way to give themselves credit and prove that they worked on the game while maybe keeping the publisher or the companies in the dark that didn't want to give credit to the developers. So Dwayne A. Skinner, he had a pretty lengthy career in the video game industry. He has all kinds of credits, tons of programming credits, senior programming credits. He also has design and concept credits as well. So looking at some of the games that he's worked on, things like NBA Jam, he worked on NBA Jam 99 and 2000, Tak and the Power of Juju, a couple Disney games like Disney's Chicken Little, Meet the Robinsons, Bolt, Pixar's Toy Story 3, Pixar's Cars 2, and he also worked on the Disney Infinity series. If you remember, the Disney Infinity series was similar to the Skylander toys, I believe, where you'd buy the toys, place them on a pedestal, and you could get them inside the game and use them inside Disney Infinity style games. He worked on that as a developer, which is pretty interesting, and that's something I wouldn't expect to see a guy that did 7800 stuff go on to do. He also worked on Daydream and Davy for the NES. He worked on the few wrestling games, the WWF Warzone game, and then he went on to do the ECW wrestling games for the PlayStation and Dreamcast and N64, I do believe. He also worked on 25 to Life for PlayStation 2, Xbox, Windows, and most recently he's worked on Hogwarts Legacy with an engineering credit. So he is still pretty active in the video game industry, and he's working right up till today. So it's great to see that Dwayne's doing well for himself. And seeing that he basically started with Commando is really cool. He showed a lot of promise in this game because it plays excellent on the 7800. He did a great job programming to the 7800 strengths, I believe. And again, I think Atari had a lot of faith in this port. They put a lot of their eggs in this port's basket because they did go all out with the pokey chip, something that they weren't known to do, and that Jack was actually shown to actively avoid doing because of the increased costs of not only the increased cost to the consumer, but the manufacturing increased cost too was something that he typically didn't want to undertake. So putting the pokey chip in here shows that it was a game that they had a fair amount of faith in, and they were hoping that it would succeed and sell pretty well. Also, you might remember they put a little bit of advertising behind this game among a few others at the time. It seemed like in the 90s they were trying to boost the sales of the 7800 and its game library, and they put out an advertisement called Pick a Fight, where it featured 4 games on a 2-page magazine spread. You had Double Dragon, Rampage, this game, and Xenophobe, I believe. And then it said Pick a Fight, and it had a little blurb about it. It was a really cool magazine ad, but it was probably too little too late. But it was kind of neat to see, and I'll show it off on the screen here so you guys can get a look at it, and maybe you guys will remember it as well. So we're moving right along here in the gameplay, making it to yet another gate. These gates can prove to be the toughest areas, especially if you're playing on the normal or hard difficulties. The game actually starts you in novice, so if you want a greater challenge, you'll have to bump the difficulty up, as I did for this gameplay. Nothing wrong with novice, but I find it just a tad bit too easy. The enemy bullets move a little too slow. So I'd recommend bumping it up for a fair bit of challenge. There's a couple soldiers that are decked out in all green. They look maybe a little bit skinnier than the other soldiers. They don't have weapons, but they're worth a bit more points to shoot. I'm not sure why that is, but it's probably true to the arcade, I would think. I've actually never played the arcade version of Commando, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, it's just kind of strange that you can encounter an enemy worth a fair bit of points that has no way of protecting himself. And here I was actually informed by somebody over at the Atari IO forums that you can really boost your life count and your score by finding safe areas in the game and just shooting the enemies repeatedly as they come onto the screen. It's something that I didn't consider doing. I feel that you get enough lives and you have enough lives to make it through fairly safely in the game. I mean, it took me a couple tries, but this has always been a game that I've been able to complete pretty consistently without much issue. But if you need some lives, you can park yourself at a point of the screen, and the enemies will continue to respawn. You can kind of mow them down and sort of get an infinite score. You can decide yourself whether that's cheating or not. I think it's just exploiting the game programming myself, but it's something to be aware of if you're having trouble surviving in this game. You can get a few extra lives and try it that way. You also have to avoid any bodies of water, pits, and stuff like that. Those are instant death. As I lose another guy here. Those are instant death pits, so you really have to be careful where you're walking in this game. There's a few items you can pick up as well. You have the machine gun item that you get, usually midway early on in the levels. That increases your rate of fire. It helps you to take down more enemies quickly. The knife power-up that we just picked up there, that helps you when you walk into enemies to kind of take them out instead of them taking you out. So think of it as like a bayonet on your gun, something like that, to where you no longer have to worry about the enemies killing you as they touch you. You only have to worry about their bullets. And here we see the gun pickup that we get here. The environments are pretty nice for Atari 7800 game. You have a nice variety. You got water, villages, as I said before, the gates, the bridges, vehicles that you come across. And there's actually a few hidden areas in the game that I haven't heard too many people talk about, and I guess not a lot of people have probably seen. So stick around to the end of the video and I'll show you a handful of the different hidden areas you can get to. If you'd like to find out how to get to all of the hidden areas, you can go to Atari7800.org, and he has maps that will show you exactly where to bomb, so you can find all the hidden areas, and they're quite different from the rest of the game. So I really kind of enjoyed finding those and seeing that there was a little bit more variety than I had originally thought. As we clear another gate here, and you can see we're polishing our gun. Again, these interludes are pretty nice. And here you can see, again, along with the other varieties, you have runways and planes and towers and stuff parked on the battlefield, which again is nice variety. It looks pretty neat. If you like this style of game, there's also Ikiri Warriors for the Atari 7800. And while it might not look as nice, and it definitely doesn't sound as nice, I actually prefer it. I find it to be a more satisfying game to play. I find the power-ups to be more satisfying, and overall it's a game that engaged me longer. It took me longer to complete it, and I've come back to it probably more often. But I think that's a preference thing, because both that game and this one play extremely well, and I think both are pretty good purchases for the system here. So here we've reached the final area. It's the same as the last area we encountered at the end of the tour of duty. And you can see you can take out the guys in the windows, but you don't have to. So here we've technically completed the game. Now the game does continue to go on. As you can see, you start from the beginning and you can keep going until you lose all your lives. Now here I'm going to show you how to see the hidden developer credit. As you power on the game with the game in the console and you power the console on, hold down pause, reset, and select on the console, and you can see programmed by Dwayne Skinner there. So pretty cool. And here I'm going to show you a few of the hidden areas you can get to. Again, you use your bombs to blow holes in various areas. This is the first level on the left side of the bridge. And you get to these underground tunnel areas, which show you a bit of a different background than what you're normally seeing. It's more of a underground area with booby traps and stuff, and it's just kind of neat to see some more variety in the game. And finding all of these will, again, add some value to the game and longevity. So And this is really neat. Technically, I think these are the POW areas, so you have to come down here to rescue the prisoners of war. Now here's the second level, and forgive the audio. I'm not sure why, but my audio on my cart started going out here. But after I reset the console after recording this, it came back. So just bear with the silence. You'll get to listen to my voice a little bit here. So enjoy that. But you can also see, outside of rescuing more prisoners for more points and fighting soldiers in this rocky underground castle looking environment, you also have some different enemy sprites. So I was surprised the first time I seen this. You have spiders and also bats in this particular area. Now the spiders and the bats cannot be killed, at least not that I know of, not with bullets. And I didn't feel like wasting grenades on them, as they were easy enough to avoid. But I was just showing off there that you can't kill them with typical bullets that you have. So here, this is a few levels ahead. I can't remember exactly which one. But this is another area, and sometimes these POW areas repeat. So you'll just have to find them and see which one you get to. This area features snakes, and the snakes actually follow you through the rest of the level. So you have quite a few POWs here to rescue, and the challenge is to rescue them before the snakes come and get you. So why'd it have to be snakes, right? And here, this is the last one I'm going to show you guys. Again, this is more of the same. I think this is level 5 or 6. I can't remember off the top of my head. But you got to bomb the wall just right here, and you get to the last style of POW area. There might be a few more, but I just wanted to show you a couple of them so you could get to see them here. And there, you have to choose the right side, otherwise you get crushed. So kind of neat that these POW areas exist, and if you like the cheat code that I talked about earlier, I have a whole video dedicated to cheat codes that I'll link down in the comments below. Other than that, I'd like to thank you guys for sitting in with me on another 7800 game, and on the next one we'll be going back to do some more karate. Hope to see you guys in the next one, and thanks for watching.